What's up? Welcome back to my channel, or for the first time if you're new, I'm Sylvan, and today I'm going to be reacting to Apothecary Diaries, Season 2, Episode 19. After a week off, it's come back. I'm very excited to get into this, so I'm not going to delay much at all. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video. Leave a comment on your thoughts, and let's get into this. As usual, starting with the opening. It was fucking cruel to have that week off in the middle of this arc. I understand that, like, you know, production issues are always a thing. That can always happen. But, God, did it hurt. So I'm imagining that this episode is probably gonna focus more on what's going on with Mao Mao, given where we ended last episode, and that last episode was mostly about Jinshi. It only feels right to me for us to sort of jump back to Mao Mao now. We might get more with Jinshi, though. Just think that it makes sense for her to be the focus of this episode. Maybe we'll get more Lacan. Maybe he'll already be there. One wild thing I've sort of been realizing is we're making our way to the end of the season pretty dang quickly. We're gonna have to figure out what to watch next soon. Still have a little while to go, though. Okay. Ah, Mao Mao. Right. Oh, is it time for the festival? Hmm. Okay. Of course. Huh. All right, but she has one. Yeah. Oh. He wouldn't be happy. Yep. Yeah, you seem to be stuck here. You don't know where you are specifically. All right. They're acting an awful lot like they didn't kidnap her. What's this whole little shrine festival thing about? Oh, lantern plant. Once again. Hmm. I suppose that's sort of the intent. Hmm. Yeah. Must mean something. Oh. Hmm. Okay. Oh. Huh. What was that about? Can't say we do. All right. Ah. Okay. So the Westerners blended with the culture, perhaps? Hmm. Huh. All right. Okay. Huh. Probably. Huh. Yeah. Okay. Ah. Okay. Huh. Yeah. Okay. Huh. All right. Oh, all this ties together somehow. Hmm. Oh, okay. Jeez. Oh no. Oh no. Uh-huh. Honestly, I'm not surprised that she enjoys eating insects. Oh. Oh, okay. Hmm. All right. Hmm. They're being really laid back given Mamo's circumstance. Huh. Oh? Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Interesting. Okay. God, that's fucking beautiful. Just the stars. Huh. Yeah. All right. This is an interesting episode so far. Sure, whatever. And then shoot an arrow at it, is that, I'm guessing? Yeah. All right, it lands. Hmm. Huh. Interesting how they fall into the water. Ooh, I'm loving this track. Oh. Huh. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's a very interesting circumstance. Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't matter if she's a hostage, she's gonna go in on this. Ah. Huh. Huh. Oh, wow. Oh my god. They want her to be in a better state than she does. Jesus Christ. It is wild being in this circumstance. Yeah. Both Shisui and Suire have a lot of things to tell us. Yeah, that is among it. We have our theories, and a lot of it is pretty easy to guess, but okay. But you got some good reading material. What will he say? Oh my god. She's just engrossed. Oh, Shenmei? Huh. Interesting way to look at it. They're really putting focus on it. Ah. That could be a way to get a message out of sorts. Oh. What? Yeah. Ah, I see. What a great mother. Oh, hiding the eyes. Huh. Been reading for 6 hours? Oh, wow. Huh. Probably. Okay. A secret passage. God. Oh, behind a like cupboard. They're not doing a good job of keeping her trapped here. Oh. Oh. But constant light. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Is she gonna do rat testing? Oh no, okay. They did that. He can lockpick, okay. Who is this guy? Oh. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Metal tubes. What is what? Ah, the guns. Yeah, okay, they're building them here. Yeah. Piecing everything together? Oh. The woman from the opening? Shenmei. Okay. Oh, and one of the escorts? Well, envoys, that's what I meant. They're not showing her eyes. Oh? Rather dramatic. Okay, Oh, he's legitimately afraid. Oh, fuck. Yeah. That's where the episode ends? What? Okay, that time flied by. All right, all things considered, this is a fairly sort of odd episode to me, honestly. It's not bad by any means, but it's just very interesting, the sort of pace and tone of it for the majority of the episode, given the circumstance. Mainly where this sort of oddity for me is in the first half of the episode, roughly. Mainly the part that I feel like has this sort of odd vibe to me is the first half of the episode, roughly, where it's essentially just Mao Mao, Shisui, and a little bit of Kyo-u, the one kid, just experiencing this festival. For most of it, Shisui is explaining what's going on, why it happens, the history of the town, that kind of thing. Which, if this was happening in a different context, I would not bat an eye. It's completely fine. Functionally, what's happening is totally in line with the show. But it's just very interesting to me how Shisui is consistently acting like Mao Mao is not a hostage here. She's acting like she always does, treating Mao Mao as a friend, hanging out, telling her things. She's acting like a friend when functionally she is a captor. But we do, in all of this, get a fairly relevant piece of information, I feel, which is that various people in the town are colorblind, including Shisui. And Mao Mao sort of tracks this back to likely being from the Western foreigners who came to the town and integrated, and that it's entirely possible that it was the same group, or at least similar groups, that the origination of the royal family came from. We've had a lot so far this season about what being colorblind means and its meaning to the nation and such, so it's interesting to learn this. It lines up with Shisho being colorblind. All of these things are sort of piecing together and tying together, but there's not any real conclusion made off of it. We're just getting this information. Beyond that, though, much like 2 episodes ago when we first met Kyo-u, a lot of this episode is ingratiating us to him, getting us to know him. And as I said in that previous episode, inevitably, he has to be important in some way. Potentially, his importance only comes down to what has happened in this episode with him helping Mao Mao to get out and into the one little workshop. But it's entirely possible that he will have plenty more relevancy because they've spent a good amount of time developing him as a character. But then we have the back half of the episode, which realistically has a lot more going on. Some of the main things are Mao Mao's interactions with Suirei and Shisui and what she learns about them and things they know. Suirei begins to explain how the resurrection drug works, her theories on how it was developed and what parts are necessary to it, and then essentially gives Mao Mao a ton of books on herbs and stuff so that she can read up on things. But unlike Shisui, who essentially doesn't acknowledge that Mao Mao is a captive, even as she's giving information to Mao Mao, Suirei does say, "You are stuck here, do not try to leave. You are our captive." But it's also in this that we have a very explicit acknowledgement that Suirei and Mao Mao are actually, in a lot of ways, fairly similar people. Or at the very least, they get along well within reason, which is an interesting sort of contrast to how they have interacted prior to now, where they have been consistently enemies against each other, even if Mao Mao only realizes the full extent of it recently. But then, in the case of Shisui, we learn some very pertinent information as well. Her mother is not a good person. She specifically says, when talking about how good at, like, hairstyling or whatever she is, that she gets beaten if she is too slow. Notably, she isn't saying "I used to" or "I would." She says "I do" if I'm too slow. The exact line is "I get beaten if I'm too slow." That is present tense. And she extrapolates that it's also the case for massages, that she'd be splashed with hot water if she didn't do a good enough job. She does not have a good mother, and she is not treated well by that mother, no matter how happy and smiling she is when she says it. But then there's only a few other real, like, pertinent things I'd say in the episode, as far as I can pick out with my current knowledge, that there is a continued focus on Mao Mao's hair spike that she got from Jinshi, talking about how specifically and well designed it is, and how if she keeps leaving it around, it might get stolen, and that if it were to be lost, it's very possible it might find its way to Jinshi and then back to her. That very well might be a setup of a way that Mao Mao can get a message out, because if that hairpin starts being sold around and gets out of this town, then it is possible that Jinshi would hear about it, learn about it, and therefore be able to trace back the people who have bought and sold it back to here. That would be a lot of work, and it's not guaranteed to succeed, but it's a possibility that they've set up, even if nobody specifically acknowledges it. But then at the same time, Shisui essentially gives Mao Mao another hair spike, one that she was wearing, which I feel like very well might be relevant at some point. It very well might mean something, because she is now wearing a spike that affiliates her with both Jinshi and Shisui, even if very few people would be able to pick up on that affiliation through the hair spike alone. But then the majority of the rest of the episode focuses on this little mystery that was set up of why this one field doesn't grow as well. It's explored with the explanation of, oh hey, this one shack, the lights are always on at night, therefore it's messing with the growth cycles of the crops. They sneak their way in. Mao Mao figures out that this almost certainly is where Suirei tested and figured out how to use the resurrection drug by testing on rats. But then she also realizes this is where Feifas are being made. Guns are being produced here, which in itself, though it's technically still conjecture at this point, is a very easy connection to the assassination attempt. Mao Mao already knows that Suirei and people affiliated with her were involved with the first assassination attempt on Jinshi, and now she has evidence that they might have been involved in the second one. But before she can really do anything about it, someone interrupts them. A very frightening woman, all things considered from her initial introduction, Lady Shenmei, which though the name sounds familiar, I don't recall hearing of her any point prior to this episode. Feel free to let me know in the comments if I'm forgetting about some time like earlier this season or in season 1 that she was mentioned. Otherwise though, this is her introduction. She was mentioned briefly earlier in the episode, but notably the point she has brought up earlier in the episode is Kyo comparing Mao Mao to her. Notably though about Mao Mao being lazy and stuck up, which we know is more because she was just hyper-focused in on what she was reading, but it is a notable character detail we can pick up that at the very least Kyo views Shenmei as a stuck-up person. But we can also gather from his reaction at the end that he is very afraid of her, or at the very least afraid of what she will do now that she has found him here, somewhere he's not supposed to be. We can also tell that she has a bit of a flair for the dramatic, as rather than just pushing open the curtain to reveal Mao Mao and Kyo, she specifically drew the sword of one of the guards with her and cut the curtain down before pointing the blade at them. Very dramatic and unnecessary, all things considered, but a very strong scare tactic for these rats, as she called them. who have snuck in. And interestingly enough, she is with one of the envoys from earlier in the season. We can also tell, though, that she is absolutely reveling in this hunt of sorts, as she calls out openly, the door was unlocked. Interesting. And when asked if anything is wrong, she says, oh no, nothing is wrong. Where we then see Mau Mau relax, only for her to then smile wickedly and then do the sword cutting of the curtain move. She was having fun taunting and playing with Mau Mau there. It makes me think that this is likely a very cruel woman, and it makes me very curious to see what's happening next episode, assuming we go back to that moment, rather than jumping back to Jinshi. Things are very dangerous right now. It is actually quite possible, depending on how much Shisui and Suirei actually care about Mau Mau's safety, that they might have actually been keeping her to that one room at most times, for the sake of keeping her away from Shenmei. I sort of doubt that, but it is a possibility, I suppose. Either way, we have been introduced to what is likely a very villainous figure in the story going forward. Who knows how long they'll last? They might just be for this arc, or they might be an overarching villain. We have very few of those. Maybe we'll have one. At the very least, I think she will be relevant for the rest of the season. But with that, all things considered, I think I have covered most of the main relevant info as far as I can tell, so I think I'll leave things here. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, leave a comment on your thoughts, and I hope you all have a great day. Goodbye.